Peter Charles here of Hooked for Life Fly Fishing, and welcome to my series on spey casting efficiency. And today we're going to look at where to put our anchor. In our previous video, we talked about watching the anchor, looking it into position. We talked briefly about where. Today we're going to talk about it more in depth, of how to place your anchor in a way that is both efficient and safe. Because these are two sides of the coin and they pull in different directions. You want to be safe so you're not driving a hook into yourself. And at the same time, you want the most efficient D-loop that you can get. So if you place the anchor very close to you, you get a more efficient D-loop. If you place it further away, your D-loop becomes less efficient. But the reverse is true for risk. The closer you put the anchor, the fly I'm talking about, this is what I'm talking. When I say the anchor, I'm talking about where the fly is going. That's the sharp bit. That's the bit that's going to hurt us. So that's the bit we should be paying attention to. The closer we put that to us, the greater the risk. So we try to balance off between efficiency and risk. So what I'm suggesting to you today is a relatively safe way to place your anchor and still say reasonably efficient. You can shorten things up and get this fly closer to you, and take a bit more risk. But that's up to you. I'm not advising it, so don't get your lawyers out on me. I'm telling you to be safe. So let's take a look at placing the anchor and some of the things that are involved. So here it is full speed, and now we're going to slow it down, and I'll show the placement of the anchor. We'll just zoom in here. And you'll see the fly touch down. There's the fly. And what we're doing is we're putting, I'll stop that. We're put the fly, about a rod length away from us at roughly a 30 to 45 degree angle off of our casting shoulder. So if I'm casting with my right shoulder, I'm going to be putting over around 30 to 45 degrees off that, a rod length away. Now, the interesting thing is as I turn, that casting angle follows with me. So if I'm casting downstream at a narrow angle or a broad angle, that 30 to 45 degrees off the casting shoulder moves as I'm aiming to a different spot on the river. That goes with me. So no matter how I aim my body, that 30 to 45 degrees off my casting shoulder is always true. And you can cheat on this, and we'll talk about the cheats, but you have a great risk of doing two things. Sticking the hook in yourself, which is the bad one, and the other one is you get it crossing your line. You get what's called a collision loop, where the anchor comes off the water and hits the line on the way out and tangles up and makes a mess. So that's the least of your worries if you do it wrong. So let's keep going here. And I try to be consistent in this placement of always putting it about, 30 to 45 degrees off my casting shoulder, one rod length away. That works well. And I get a reasonably efficient cast out of it. And, I can do quite well with it. And you can see the leader extraction here. The fly, you can't see it, but is in the same place. Comes off nice and easy. And you get a nice, compressed D-loop that's quite efficient. So here's the safety aspect and the rules you have to follow. And these are rules. If you don't do it right, you're going to pay. There are three planes. Okay, I'll just stop it here. There are three planes. There's the plane of view. There's the plane of the cast. And there's the plane of the anchor. And you have to respect you, cast, anchor. The anchor always has to be outside of the cast. If the anchor's between you and the cast, at best you'll have a collision loop. If you put the anchor on the other side of you, you're going to stick the hook into you. Even if it's level with you, you'll stick the hook into you. So you have to respect that when no matter what cast you're doing, no matter how you're setting it up, you have to follow that rule of putting the cast, and then the anchor. The anchor is always to the outside. Whether it's upstream, downstream, doesn't matter. It's always on the outside of the plane of the cast. Now, here's where you can cheat, is I'm putting the anchor out in front of me and off to the side for safety reasons, but I'm keeping it within the rod length to keep it efficient. If I bring the anchor alongside of me and close to me, I compress that vertical height of that D-loop even more, and it becomes even more efficient because I'm moving more line into the top of the D-loop. We've explained that in the past, how that works. So as I compress the D-loop more, I put more line into the top, less line in the bottom, it becomes even more efficient, but at greater risk of a collision loop or sticking the hook in my face. So you are the ones going to have to make that choice. And for my benefit, I always keep it a rod length away at that angle. That way I don't get collision loops, and I never have to worry about sticking myself with the hook. And I can always keep an eye on it too. That's the other thing. It's easy for me to see when it's in that position. The closer it gets to me, I'm having to look like this to see where it, and I always watch my anchor. So if it's right there, I'm really having to pay attention and look down, and now I'm turning my head a weird angle, and you really, if you're putting it down there, you're no longer watching it. So it's not that safe. If you're not watching where your fly is going, you're asking for trouble. And we've talked about that in a previous video. You want to always watch your anchor. So, well, just this last little clip, you'll see that I'm looking straight down at my fly. My fly is that 30 to 45 degrees off my casting shoulder, and it's about a rod length away. So it doesn't matter how I'm casting, what the angle change is. It doesn't matter. I'm always maintaining that basic rule. Rod length away, 30 to 45 degrees off my casting shoulder. And as long as I'm consistent with that, I never have to worry about collision loops, never have to worry about sticking a hook in myself. So keep in mind, efficiency means you get it closer, higher risk of collision loops, higher risk of sticking the hook in yourself. Put it further away, you don't have the same risk. The risk goes way down of collision loops and hooking yourself. In fact, the collision loop is not going to happen as soon as you put it away from yourself. But you've opened up your D-loop, and now it's less efficient, and you're not going to get as good a cast. So it's a trade-off. And as I say, this is the rule of thumb I follow, and I don't get collision loops, and I don't stick the hook in myself. And that makes me happy. So keep that all in mind. Cheers.